What's up? Here we are again at Token 2049 with another illustrious guest. My name is Eric Spivak, here with BlockSquare, New Friendship Tech, Genzio, and a bunch of other partners of ours. And we have Makram from BlockSquare talking about real-world assets and on-chain property. They were one of the first and might be one of the best in this space on that conversation. So we wanted to bring the man, the myth, the legend here. So Makram, if you want to introduce yourself and
Thank you for having us, Eric.
Happy to have
I'm
you here.
Makram Hani. Illustrious, probably.
Maybe, probably,
Maybe.
for sure. Own it, you know?
We like to think that we're the best, and we like to believe that we were the first. We were the first at least to do few things. First, for example, we were the first real-world assets tokenization company that notarized a real estate transaction in Europe. So, and again, we are an infrastructure provider. We are passionate about getting tokenization of real estate out there for reasons similar to why you're passionate, for example, redistributing wealth and allowing people to have access to knowledge, democratizing wealth access and distribution. And this is some of what we are passionate about as well. I'm a real estate guy, not a tech guy, and that's something everyone hates that I say sometimes, but it is the truth. I don't understand tech, but what I understand is the asset real estate can be, or the characteristics of the asset real estate, the benefits of owning the asset real estate can be magnified whenever tokenized, increasing efficiency and access and liquidity.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, like when we think about asset protection and longevity and maintaining integrity in what we own and what we buy and what we care about and what we share and lend and loan, I mean, the real estate space is almost like second nature to the blockchain world. You know, we pass down houses and generations of families, and we want to maintain and sustain the longevity of the stories that are attached to these buildings. And, you know, I think there's definitely alignment and synergy with that being a conversation, regardless of technicalities. I think realistically, the real estate industry at large has been very behind. And, you know, I've spoken in front of thousands at the MLS. I've, you know, worked with Sotheby's. I've witnessed so much change in commercial and residential real estate, especially with things like Peerspace and Airbnb and that type of opportunity existing, which obviously didn't 10 years ago. So, I mean, you mentioned one of the first to, I guess, tokenize in the UK. How
Notarized a tokenization instance in Europe.
In Europe.
Yeah, it happened in Slovenia and Ljubljana, but again, Europe is Europe.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, in my head, when you said that, my brain immediately went to how difficult it is to navigate the legislation and regulations and infrastructure that exists in that part of Europe. But tell me, how difficult was that process at that time to even get something like this done, considering it's all new, you know, it's all brand new. It's something that's never been done before. Do you recall what it was like to just get through the door and get through the process and check the boxes?
Yeah, I do. And it is challenging.
If it's PTSD, don't worry about it.
It's challenging. It's challenging to marry between conventional and tech and the future. And we believe that the only way we can bridge towards the future is if we create that marriage. That's why if you look at BlockSquare's tech methodology, everything is open source for the industry to be able to benefit from. And here I talk about the documentation and methodology, obviously not the smart contracts, but the idea is that we wanted to be pioneers without living in a dream world where things cannot be materialized. And obviously when you're talking real estate, there is a conventional method at all times, and that conventional method mostly have not been changed, improved, have not evolved over a very long period of time. And the evolution that have happened to it is very minimal. What we did was we worked for years to try and bridge and match conventional with tokenization, and we created that method. It took us around 3 years to be able to notarize our first transaction, but once we've done it, it became open to us and everyone else in the industry. So we paved the way for that to happen. And why is it very important? Because in our opinion, and we are anti-hype. Now, I'm not sure if it's good for a company to be anti-hype, but at least my mind says we're anti-hype. What we do is we try not to create a bigger image than the reality of what's taking place at the time. So we're very conservative in our approach to that. And when you look at how we've developed over years, and we've developed consistently and sustainably, and down markets and bear markets and boom markets, it didn't matter. And our target at all times was to get the efficiency while not compromising on the security to individuals. If you want to buy a real estate token, you need to be able to have that token attached to real estate, so that you safeguard that individual who may be a retail investor, who may be my father, your father, who may be anyone who wants to get into real estate and cannot throw in $1 million or $2 million to do so. Right. And that's why tokenizing, while notarizing that tokenization instance, is very important, because it links the final token with the base of real estate proof of ownership, which is the register.
Right.
It's a deed or a title depending on the system you sit in.
Right. Yeah, I was moving from New York to LA, and I was basically trying to get some of these real estate companies early on, because I was working in that space for a moment, to adapt technology of this nature. I was like, you know, you can increase the property value if you added this token or NFT at the time into this art that is not going anywhere, that's attached to the building, and it can increase the value of the building as long as this artist is living, or God forbid they die, and maybe it goes even further, but this is a one-of-one original piece of work from an artist that's internationally recognized and doing Christie's and Sotheby's auctions. So by binding that with this, they didn't get it. But when I talked about you know, kind of the future of things and where it's going with even, you know, contracts by AI that are now being developed, that's just taking away the whole process from realtors and agents. And so I think to see ahead like that is very important, because you're kind of a purveyor of what's to come, because people want comparison, and that first mover advantage is super important. So with that said, what would you say was, I guess, or not was, what is the most important next steps for you guys as we go into this hybrid future where I want it and I want it now and I want to see it? There's an expectation of transparency and authentication, which I'm happy that you said that you guys don't exaggerate and blow it out. Like, I appreciate substance over hype. But what would you say is like the most important next phases for you and the real estate world, with tokenized assets backed by anything from precious metals to what you guys are doing?
Okay, so first, the liquidity premium is something that's scientifically proven. There's a professor in a university in the US that have done a study about the liquidity premium. If you add tokenization or any other kind of liquidity creation on an asset, you will get a premium. So we're not trying to tokenize real estate just to get a premium of liquidity. The idea is to give access to everyone. Now, the tokenization is just a layer of much of what blockchain and technology can help real estate. At the end of the day, using blockchain as the ledger, where you can immutably, and that's very important, immutably record everything from the stage of procurement, design, development, land acquisition, to the stages of operation of the building. I come from a real estate world, as I said. I'm not from the tech world, and it's very important for me how real estate is operated, because that's the nitty and gritty of what makes sense at the end of the day and makes a difference. So all of those do matter much, and technology and blockchain can help so much in that, and creating that immutable record that is existing and available for everyone openly to look at. Is very important. Now, when it comes to tokenizing real estate, and it's approximately the same in all other assets. Right. However, real estate is different. First, definitely not because I'm biased to real estate at all, but it's different because it's known to be a source of pride, comfort, stability. You know, if you watch movies, My wife does some of those, and she looks at them, and most of divorces happen because of a mortgage default. Or that is the cause of so much tension in a family. Yeah. So property is very important for people. Now, if you are able to offer people access, that is at the time they need access. If you're a student at 22, you're able to start purchasing your future home today. And what does that do? Many things. One, usually you get married, 23, 24, partners together, they put that energy and that money to start creating the nest egg, the down payment. And then it takes you a few years to do that. The house that used to be worth $1 million is worth 1.4 million. The down payment is all of a sudden part of the down payment. So how about if you were able to purchase a portion and benefit from that growth? Now, real estate doesn't always grow. It also dips. But if you're able to enter with averaging that, the cost averaging and that dollar averaging into a property is very attractive and important. At the same time, not needing to take a liability that you can't afford generally emotionally on 25, which is $1 million, and being able to take the liability you can afford based on your income without overextending yourself is very important. Right. Putting all of that on chain, publicly, transparently, with efficiencies, removing, because there are ways, or there have been ways, similar to REITs and crowdfunding solutions, where you fractionalize an asset. Right. However, you have conventional setups and structures that make, we call it a closed funnel, that makes that investment, the value that goes in from the front goes out at max of 20 to 30% from the end. And that affects the quality of that asset and investment to an individual and the quality of impact it creates to their families and their lives. So what we want to make sure we're doing, and what Dubai is doing greatly today, because there's a pilot running, and hopefully by end of July, early September, we'll have the first in the world. And I said it in 2018. I'm very proud that I've said it at that time. I'm not proud that I wasn't the person who've done it. I should have been the person who've done it myself. But after a few years now, what I said at that time will happen. Dubai will be the leader and the first to launch a direct tokenization that will impact the register directly. Your deed is tokenized. It's crazy. On-chain and tokenized. And that's amazing. Because you remove all of that non-efficiency in between, and you make that value transmittable to the end result, to the end user.
No, that's amazing. I mean, I think when I think about dollar cost averaging into things, I'm basically reinvesting in my different revenue streams, right? My Bitcoin, my Ethereum, my Solana, my et cetera, or my cars or cribs or whatever it is, right? And I think that there really hasn't been an efficient or effective way to do that with real estate as far as I have thought of, other than trying to sublet rental properties or things of that nature. And to also be able to see where it started, where it's at, and where it's going on chain, those receipts, that ledger is super important, especially when so many salesmen are selling snake oil. And I think for sustainability of value, that's also super important. So I guess, what would you say is the, next boom in real estate? Would you say it's what you guys are doing? Because I almost want to say that without saying it, because it makes sense. We're getting away of the fat. We're trimming the fat in all processes and procedures, and that's where I do lean into the AI conversations with people as well, because I'm going to schools and universities and colleges and basically breaking down how we could take this and make it automated with smart contracts and other types of integration and have it all done autonomously. But having peace of mind, safety, and security in just knowing that what you see is what you get is what you guys are providing in a very big way.
100%. And so we've just launched Tokalytics. It's a platform that's open for everyone, not only for people who utilize the infrastructure of BlockSquare to tokenize or any of our marketplace operators, but anyone else in the world who has a tokenized property. Why? It's data that is utilized, available to everyone, and everyone can jump in Tokalytics and have it done. Why did we create that? To be able to issue to people the knowledge required. Now, what's the next big thing? Mass adoption. When will it happen? I don't have the date, but I have what should happen for it to happen. What should happen is, how I used to think of tokenization 4 years ago should stop. And I was told that by a gentleman, very smart gentleman. He said, you're trying to talk to people and educate them about the method of what happens when you tokenize a property and what's behind the doors. But this is not how Amazon became what Amazon is today. Right. When you eliminate that in your head, and when you talk to people, they don't care about how do you deliver, where's your warehousing. What they care about is, I'm getting the package in a day, and that's what's most important. So mass adoption, and what we need to do, which we're very close to doing, because mentally we're getting into the habit of, you know what, that should be it. It's not, we shouldn't come and train everyone to become a tokenization expert. Right. They need to understand tokens of real estate as much as they understand real estate, because the token is the digital representation of a part of the property. So what you need to look at is the underlying, the property. And if you're doing it in a very transparent way, everything is on chain, everything is accessible. And here, you mentioned AI. AIoT, the future of how you record and how you operate a property. When you go from, even in facilities management, from a proactive to predictive, yeah. All of this contributes to the experience of owning that asset class. Yep. And the experience of reducing the non-efficiencies. The experience, you've said something very important. Some people are selling probably snake oil. And the whole idea is, how many people you know have purchased property in your vicinity, right. Yeah, that is overpriced, just because they came from a place where they don't have access and knowledge locally. Right. That can't happen with an Apple stock. Right. It shouldn't be able to happen if you have an order book, an order wheel. You have it's very transparent on chain. You can see all the transactions that have ever happened on a property. Yeah. You can see the valuation, an ICS certified valuation or the like, and that's very important. That's very valuable. And this is what we hope will happen. And the minute that those come to play, and they're very close, each of them is very close, yeah. I believe we'll achieve mass adoption. And when we achieve mass adoption, there doesn't have to exist property outside of chain from a record. Again, chain does not change the characteristics of a property. It adds some of the characteristics, but it's real estate and its characteristics that do matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not reinventing the wheel, but you're strengthening the tires. And at the end of the day, we just need a new industry standard, and we're in a moment of rewriting the rules and changing the parameters. So I think BlockSquare might be able to actually do that, because I can transparent, like, I hate even saying transparency, but it's true. I can see opening the box and seeing all the information and it being there. What you see is what you get, as opposed to calling a million people, emailing a million people, going through 100,000 websites and not being able to find what I need or what I want, because what I see is not what I get, because everybody's just trying to squeeze blood out of a stone and take advantage of each other. So I appreciate the...
That's when we say the future is trustless.
Yeah.
Yeah, trustless is not without trust.
Right.
Trustless is, you don't require trust. You can trust someone, but if you have the right, everything documented the right way and processed the right way, streamlined the right way, you don't need trust. What you need is what's written. What you see is what you get.
Exactly, and that's why we like immutable objects on blockchain. Well, I appreciate your time here. I don't know if there's anything else you want to tell to the audience, where they can find you, where they can find BlockSquare. What's the best way for them to find you?
So the best way is, you go to Google, BlockSquare. We are tokenizing assets. Anyone who wants to launch a marketplace, a tokenization marketplace, please go there. Anyone who is in the industry, feel free to go and look at our documentation. We've made it public so that everyone can see everything that we do, including our contracts, including our processes, so that everyone can benefit off it. Thank you for having us. Absolutely. And all the energy to you, to Dubai, and to more tokenizing in real estate.
Absolutely. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you, Makram. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Pleasure.
And we are out.